The front door was unlocked when I got home, which should have been my first clue. I'd left for my business trip to Chicago at 6 that morning, and Sarah knew I wouldn't be back until Friday. It was only Wednesday afternoon. My meeting had been canceled last minute, and I'd caught an earlier flight home, thinking I'd surprise her with an early return. I was the one who got surprised. I walked into our house in the quiet suburbs of Portland, set my bag down in the entryway, and noticed Sarah's car in the driveway. That was normal. What wasn't normal was the black Audi parked next to it. I recognized the car immediately. It belonged to Derek, my best friend since college. We'd been tight for 15 years, stood up at each other's weddings, spent countless weekends together. I wondered why he was here in the middle of a Wednesday afternoon. I walked through the living room, toward the kitchen, planning to grab a drink before heading upstairs to surprise Sarah. That's when I heard it. A sound coming from upstairs that made me freeze in place. Laughter. Sarah's laugh, but different. Breathless. Intimate. Then another sound. A man's voice. Derek's voice. My feet moved automatically up the stairs, each step feeling like I was walking through water. My brain was trying to process what I was hearing, trying to find an innocent explanation, even as my gut knew the truth. I reached our bedroom door. It was partially open. What I saw through that gap destroyed 15 years of friendship and 8 years of marriage in a single moment. Sarah and Derek were in our bed. My bed. The bed I'd shared with my wife for 8 years. They were tangled in sheets I'd slept in just the night before, completely absorbed in each other, not hearing me, standing there in the doorway. I must have made a sound, because suddenly Sarah's head turned and her eyes met mine. The color drained from her face in an instant. "Adam," she breathed, scrambling to cover herself with the sheet. "Oh my God, Adam." Derek sat up, looking between me and Sarah with an expression that was part shock, part guilt, part something else I couldn't identify. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 10 seconds. Then I turned and walked back downstairs. "Adam, wait." Sarah was calling after me, but I didn't stop. I grabbed my bag from the entryway, got in my car, and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. My phone started ringing almost immediately. "Sarah." I declined the call. It rang again. Derek this time. I declined that too. I ended up at my brother's place across town. Marcus opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. "What happened?" I told him. The words came out flat, emotionless, like I was describing something that happened to someone else. I came home early from my trip. Found Sarah and Derek in our bed. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Derek. Your best friend Derek." "Yeah." Jesus Christ. He went to his kitchen and came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. He poured generous amounts in both and handed me one. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." We sat in silence for a while, drinking. My phone kept buzzing with calls and texts. I turned it face down on the coffee table and ignored it. Finally, Marcus said, "You can stay here as long as you need. But Adam, you need to think about your next move. Don't let emotion cloud your judgment." "What do you mean?" "I mean Sarah's going to try to spin this. Derek's going to try to smooth it over. Don't give them the chance. Strike first. Get a lawyer. Protect your assets. Make sure you come out of this on top." I looked at my brother. He'd been through a messy divorce 3 years ago and learned some hard lessons. "You're right." "Damn right I'm right. And there's something else you should know." "What?" "Derek's in financial trouble. Has been for months. I heard through the grapevine that his investment firm's been losing money. He's over-leveraged on that house he bought last year." That got my attention. Derek had bought a massive house in an exclusive neighborhood about 6 months ago. He'd bragged about it constantly, throwing parties, showing off the home theater and pool. He'd told everyone it was a sign of how well his business was doing. "How bad is it?" I asked. "Bad enough that he might lose the house. I heard his mortgage is 3 months behind." I sat with that information, turning it over in my mind. Derek was having an affair with my wife while his own life was falling apart. And Sarah had no idea she was sleeping with a man on the verge of financial ruin. An idea started forming. Dark, calculated, satisfying. "Marcus, how do I find out if a house is in foreclosure?" He looked at me with a slow smile spreading across his face. "Now you're thinking. Let me make some calls." The next day, I met with a divorce attorney named Helen Crawford. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with a reputation for being ruthless. "Tell me everything," she said, notepad ready. I told her about finding Sarah and Derek, about leaving, about Derek's financial situation. Do you own your house jointly with your wife? Yes. We bought it 5 years ago. Both our names on the deed. Other assets. Joint savings account with about 80,000. I have a 401k from my job with about 200,000. She has one from her job with maybe 50,000. 2 cars, both paid off. And you want to file for divorce based on adultery? Yes. Helen made notes. With evidence of infidelity, we're in a strong position. Do you have proof? I caught them in the act. I can testify to that. Any photos? Videos? Text messages? No. I left before I thought to document anything. That's okay. Your testimony combined with their inability to deny what happened should be sufficient. Now about the house. Given the adultery, we can argue you should get a larger share of the marital assets. I don't want the house, I said. Too many bad memories. I want it sold and I want my fair share. Understandable. I'll draft the papers today. We can file tomorrow and have her served by end of week. I left Helen's office and drove to meet a contact Marcus had given me. His name was Rick, and he worked in real estate foreclosures. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Rick was a thin guy in his 40s, looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Your brother said you're interested in a property that might be going into foreclosure. Yeah, house owned by Derek Morrison. I want to know the status and what my options are if it goes to auction. Rick pulled out his laptop and typed for a minute. Okay, I've got it. Derek Morrison, 2847 Highland Avenue. Purchased 11 months ago for $1.2 million. Current mortgage balance is $1.1 million. He's 4 months behind on payments. Bank just filed foreclosure proceedings yesterday. When's the auction? Foreclosure auction will be in about 90 days if he doesn't catch up on the payments. Based on what I'm seeing, he won't. Guy's got other debts too. Car payments behind, credit cards maxed. He's drowning. If it goes to auction, how does that work? Public auction on the courthouse steps. Highest bidder wins. Starting bid will be whatever sold on the mortgage plus fees. In this case, probably around $1.15 million. But here's the thing. Most foreclosure auctions don't get a lot of bidders. If you show up with cash or a cashier's check, you could probably get it for the minimum bid. And if I bought it, you'd own the property free and clear. Previous owner would have to vacate within 30 days. I smiled for the first time since walking into my bedroom 2 days ago. Keep me updated on the timeline. I'm very interested. Sarah called me 17 times that first day. Derek called 9 times. I ignored all of them. On day 2, Sarah showed up at Marcus's place. Marcus answered the door. He doesn't want to see you. Please, I need to talk to him. I need to explain. Explain what? That you were sleeping with his best friend in his bed? Pretty self-explanatory. It's not what it looks like. It looked like adultery. Pretty sure that's exactly what it was. Marcus, please. I love him. This was a mistake. You love him so much you fucked Derek in his bed while he was out of town. That's an interesting definition of love. I heard all of this from the guest room where I was staying. Part of me wanted to go down there and yell, let out all the anger and betrayal I was feeling. But the smarter part of me, the part that was listening to Marcus's advice, stayed quiet. Marcus told Sarah to leave, and she did, but not before leaving a note under his door. I found it later. Adam, please talk to me. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I need to explain. It happened once, I swear. Derek came over to drop off something, and we had wine, and it just happened. I love you. I've always loved you. Please give me a chance to make this right. Sarah, I read it twice, and then threw it away. It happened once. That was interesting, because Derek's car had been parked in my driveway for at least 2 hours based on when I'd gotten home. And from what I'd seen, they were very comfortable together. That didn't look like a first time. On day 3, I got served with papers. But not from me to Sarah. From Derek to me. It was a letter from his lawyer asking me not to discuss the incident with anyone, threatening a defamation suit if I spread false rumors about his client's character. I laughed out loud when I read it and forwarded it to Helen. Her response came quickly. Let him try. Truth is an absolute defense to defamation. Also, this letter tells me he's worried about his reputation. We can use that. On day 4, Helen called. Papers are filed. Sarah will be served today at her office. Are you ready for the fallout? I'm ready. Sarah called me that evening, crying hysterically. You filed for divorce? Without even talking to me. There's nothing to talk about. Adam, please. We've been together for 10 years. 8 years married. You're going to throw that all away. I didn't throw it away. You did. When you slept with Derek. It was one mistake. One time. I'm so sorry. I will never forgive myself, but please don't do this. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. One time, I repeated. That's what you keep saying. How long has it actually been going on, Sarah? Silence. That's what I thought. Sign the papers. Make this easy. I'm not signing anything. If you want a divorce, you're going to have to fight for it. She hung up. I called Helen and told her Sarah was going to contest. Expected, Helen said. Let her fight. We have the evidence. She has excuses. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Derek's foreclosure through Rick. The bank had accelerated the timeline. Auction was set for 60 days out. He's trying to do a short sale, Rick told me over the phone, listing it for $950K, hoping to find a buyer quick and convince the bank to take less than what's owed. Will that work? Not likely. Market's soft right now, and that house is overpriced even at $950. Plus, short sales take months to process. He doesn't have months. Good. I started preparing for the auction. I met with my bank about getting a cashier's check. I reviewed my finances and realized I could pull together about $800K liquid between savings, 401K loans, and a credit line. If the auction started at $1.15 million, I need financing for the rest. Marcus connected me with an investor who was interested in going in on the property with me. His name was James, and he owned several rental properties. I put up $400K. You put up $800K. We buy the house at auction, James proposed. Then we flip it quick or rent it out. Either way, we split profits 60-40 in your favor since you're putting in more capital. Deal. But I want one thing. Derek Morrison gets a 30-day eviction notice the day we close. Not negotiable. James grinned. I like the way you think. The divorce proceedings move slowly. Sarah hired an expensive attorney who tried every tactic to delay and complicate things. She claimed the marriage was salvageable. She claimed I'd abandoned her. She claimed I was being unreasonable. Helen shut down every argument with the evidence of adultery and my testimony about what I'd witnessed. We had a hearing where both sides presented their cases. Sarah showed up dressed conservatively, looking sad and remorseful. Derek came too, sitting in the back of the courtroom in support. That was a mistake on their part. Helen called me to testify. I described coming home early, walking into my house, hearing sounds from upstairs, finding my wife and my best friend in my bed. And the defendant's affair partner is here today. Helen asked. Yes, Derek Morrison. He's sitting in the back row. Every head turned to look at Derek. His face went red. The judge looked at Sarah's attorney. Your client brought her affair partner to a divorce proceeding. Sarah's attorney looked flustered. Your Honor, Mr. Morrison is here as a friend supporting. That's enough. The judge cut him off. I've heard enough. I'm granting the divorce on grounds of adultery. We'll schedule another hearing for asset division. Sarah burst into tears. Derek left quickly, not meeting anyone's eyes. Outside the courtroom, I saw Derek in the parking lot. He started walking toward me. Adam, wait. Can we talk? I stopped. Talk. Man, I know what I did was wrong. I know I betrayed you. But I want you to know it wasn't planned. Sarah and I, we just connected and things happened. How long? What? How long has it been going on? He looked away. 3 months. 3 months. Not once. Not a mistake. 3 months of deliberately betraying me. We want to be together, Derek continued. Sarah's going to move in with me once the divorce is final. I know this is hard for you, but I hope eventually we can. Your house is being foreclosed on, I said calmly. Auctions in 30 days. His face went pale. How do you know about that? I make it my business to know things. So where exactly is Sarah going to move in? Because in 30 days, you won't have a house. I'm going to figure it out. I'm working on a solution. Good luck with that. I walked to my car feeling better than I had in weeks. The auction date arrived. I showed up at the courthouse steps at 9 a.m. with a cashier's check for $1.2 million. James was with me, looking excited. There were only 3 other bidders. 2 were investors like James who took one look at the starting bid and walked away. The third was Derek. Derek saw me and his expression changed from desperate to furious. What are you doing here? He demanded. Same thing you are. Hoping to buy a house. You can't do this. This is my house. Not for long. The auctioneer started the proceedings. Opening bid is $1,150,000. Derek bid immediately. $1,150,000. I bid $1,200,000. Derek's face went red. He bid again. $1,210,000. I could see him sweating. He probably didn't actually have that much. I bid $1,250,000. Silence. Derek looked like he was going to be sick. Going once, the auctioneer called. Going twice. Sold to bidder number 7 for $1,250,000. I'd won. Derek's house was now mine. Derek tried to approach me afterward, but James stepped between us. You need to leave, James said calmly. You're no longer the owner of that property. Derek looked at me with pure hatred. You did this on purpose. Yeah, I did. You slept with my wife in my bed. I bought your house at foreclosure. Seems fair to me. This isn't over. It is for you. You have 30 days to vacate. After that, we're filing eviction papers. Derek left, and I felt a sense of satisfaction I hadn't felt since this whole nightmare started. The asset division hearing happened 2 weeks later. With the adultery proven and Sarah's refusal to cooperate making her look bad, the judge awarded me 60% of the marital assets. I got 60% of the house proceeds when it sold, 60% of the savings. My 401k stayed mine, her smaller one stayed hers. I kept my car, she kept hers. Sarah tried to argue she deserved more because she'd given up career opportunities to support me. The judge wasn't sympathetic given the circumstances. The divorce was finalized 3 months after I filed. Sarah moved in with Derek, which was darkly funny considering he was living in a rental apartment after losing his house. I heard through mutual friends that Derek's business had completely collapsed. He'd filed for bankruptcy. Sarah had found out too late that she'd left a stable marriage for a man with nothing. Meanwhile, James and I decided to rent out Derek's former house rather than flip it. The rental income was substantial given the location. We made back our investment in 3 years, and the property value appreciated nicely. 5 years after the divorce, I ran into Sarah at a grocery store. She looked tired, older than she should have at 38. Adam, she said quietly. Sarah, how have you been? Good. Really good, actually. I heard you bought Derek's house. That was cold. Not as cold as sleeping with my best friend in my bed. She flinched. I deserve that. I deserved all of it. I just want you to know I regret everything. Derek and I didn't work out. Turns out an affair is a terrible foundation for a relationship. Imagine that. Are you seeing anyone? I am. Her name's Jennifer. We've been together for 2 years. I'm happy for you. Truly. I studied her face. She looked genuine. Broken, but genuine. I hope you figure things out, Sarah. I really do. But we're done. We've been done for 5 years. I know. Take care, Adam. You too. I walked away feeling nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. No residual pain. Just nothing. She was part of a past I'd moved beyond. Jennifer was waiting for me at home. We live together now, in a condo downtown with a great view. She knew the whole story. How I'd caught Sarah and Derek. How I'd bought Derek's house in foreclosure. How I'd turned a betrayal into a business opportunity. How'd it go? She asked when I walked in. Weird. Saw Sarah at the store. How'd that feel? Like running into a stranger. There's nothing there anymore. Jennifer smiled and kissed me. Good. You deserve to be happy. I was happy. I'd taken the worst moment of my life and used it to fuel something better. The house I bought from Derek's foreclosure was now worth $1.8 million. My portion of that equity, combined with my other investments, had set me up financially. More importantly, I'd learned what I was worth. I'd learned not to accept betrayal or make excuses for people who hurt me. I'd learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't emotional, it's strategic. I caught my wife in our bed with my best friend. So I bought his house in foreclosure and evicted him from his own life the same way he'd tried to evict me from mine. And I never felt better about a business decision in my life.